Hi everyone, so welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be talking about my favourite monster taming franchises, games. Let's just get the obvious out of the way. Pokemon, obviously, it's great, but I think just because of the state of Pokemon at the moment, Arceus is really good though. I think that was a great step in a good direction. But yeah, I think just the state of Pokemon, I think it makes a lot of people want that monster taming fix somewhere else. So let's dive into them. Again, I thought I'd just begin with Pokemon because obvious one. Now my next favourite is Yokai Watch. It's an excuse to show off my physical Yokai Watch 3 as well. Because yeah, I've got Komasan right there. Thank you. Now, okay. If you want to get into the Yokai Watch series, obviously this is really expensive, so maybe don't go for it. Or, I mean, if you have the money, maybe. But Yokai Watch 2, and because I think Yokai Watch 2 is probably the best story. It's quite cheap at the moment, especially here in the UK. I got it here for £6. I think now though it's about like £10, but that's still not bad for hours and hours and hours of gameplay. So 1 and 2 are really cheap to pick up, so I definitely recommend those. I really like the befriending mechanic. I know it's a bit more RNG, but I think also that's why I've had like tons of hours into the game. I think Yokai Watch is one of the few games that like I have hundreds and hundreds of hours on, just because I think like the story is about 45 hours anyway, but I spent way more than that just kind of grinding and trying to find different yokai, and I think it's just like really fun to do it in that game. So that's Yokai Watch. Next we have, now it's a series that I'm just getting into, Dragon Quest Monsters. I know the Game Boy Color ones are really popular. I need to try and find a copy of those, and also Joker 2. Unfortunately, Joker 3 and the remakes of the original Dragon Quest Monsters 1 and 2 aren't released over here. I'm hoping they might do like a collection, whether that's on like phones or like Switch maybe. I don't know, because obviously Dragon Quest Monsters 3 is coming out on Switch this year, which I'm really excited about. And because also you have Dragon Quest Treasures, which has some monster taming elements, and that was fun. This one's a bit more grindy. I don't know whether it's just because of when it came out, but like there's synthesis in where you kind of so sometimes you have to kind of you don't capture them, you recruit them, but so sometimes you have to recruit like 2 of one monster or 4 of one monster and then fuse them to get a different stronger monster, but you have to grind them up to like level 10 to be able to synthesize them. So it's very grindy, but it's a very in-depth system if that's what you're into. It's just a bit harder for me. I think I'm only about 12 hours in, I'm already stuck. Next we have, so we got Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, which is developed by Level 5, which are the same people that did Yokai Watch. And I've realised I like a lot of Level 5 games. They've also done a couple of Dragon Quest games as well. But Ni no Kuni is also not developed, but they worked with Studio Ghibli, so it's got that Studio Ghibli art style, and it's really cutesy, but with a really, like, within like the first half hour of the story you're like crying. But the familiars are good. It's got a good it's not called evolution, it's called metamorphosing or something with the monsters, but it's action turn-based combat, is that what they called it, or like real-time action, I can't remember. But it's a mix. Again, it's a bit grind, because I think this takes about 44 hours to complete. Most of these I haven't, well, some of them I have completed. Just ADHD, I kind of like move on to stuff after a while, then I go back and I'm like, oh, might as well start again. But I think I've realised like playing things, because I noticed I get about 10 hours into a game, then I drop it and then go to something else. But I think I've realised, I think that's just my way of playing games, that I'll play it. You know, I think like stuff like Pokemon and stuff, like it's easy for me to get through, like bash through that and get through that straight away. But some, especially the kind of bit longer ones, like have to play it in bits, so I might have like a weekend or whatever where I'm obsessed with just playing that, and then I'll go to something else and I'll come back to it. But yeah, really cute. Definitely recommend this one. I mean, I recommend all of these. Next we have Digimon. This one in particular, Digimon World, is more of a monster raising game, where they kind of have life cycles and stuff. I found it really hard, actually, I think, but luckily with the Switch version, put a beginner mode, because I think I initially downloaded it on PlayStation, because it was like £10 or something. I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. But also, I don't pay attention properly, that's probably why. Whereas I paid attention to this time, and it makes a bit more sense. And yeah, so that's that one. And then we've got Nexamon, which, you know, just Nexamon, Pokemon, Digimon. It's very clear it's a monster taming game. This one, Extinction, is probably the best one. There's the first one as well. There's also like a collection where they have both on one cart. But obviously I got this one first, and then I got one digitally before they released the collection. But they have quite a lot of monsters in. I think this one's like 400, I think, or I think 380, but they've added some, I think, from the DLC, and I think it's around a similar number for Nexamon 1. Some cool designs, great stories. It's really funny, it's really comedic. They kind of break the fourth wall quite a lot, which I quite like. This one can get a bit tough sometimes, just because I think the levels, they kind of scale with the story. But, you know, like even like playing, because I think I've played this one 2-3 times, and I like, this thing, I struggle kind of completing like the Pokedex or whatever, because again, attention span is crap. But you know, I think I was replaying it the other week, and I came across a monster that I've not seen before. I was like, oh, that's really cool. But yeah, like that, this is definitely a strong one up there. Now, next we have, again, that, like, because it's digital only, Cassette Beasts, and they've just released a patch for the console releases, just because it was very buggy, like frame rates and stuff, and the performance when it first came out, unfortunately, kind of soured the experience a bit. But it's such a great game. It's like pixel style, it's a bit retro, and this has fusion. I think there's 14,400 different combinations of fusions. Quite a small, I think the other thing I like about the kind of some of the other ones, especially this and some other digital ones I'll be going into, like they have a smaller roster, so it is a bit easier to complete the kind of equivalent of a Pokedex, like the Bestiary. I just need to find, because I do have something else on here. Oh, okay, so, well, let's go back to Yokai Watch. I do have Yokai Watch 4 on the Switch. It's in Japanese only. I know there's like a English patch online, but I'm just hoping they do eventually, because level 5 are coming back to the West, so I'm hoping they do something for that. Oh, I just realised I don't have my SD card. I changed my SD card, so there's some stuff on here. But you can see Koromon there. Really good game. Again, very, very Pokemon-like. Again, smaller roster, so it's very easy to complete the... I don't know what's called in there. What's that noise? I'm not putting Temtem on here just because, like, some of the monsters' designs are cool. I'm just not a big fan of MMOs. I mean, you basically play it as like single player anyway, but it's too grindy. It's very constantly going back and forth with stuff. But now an interesting one is Taiko no Tatsujin. That, like, the Rhythmic Adventure Pack. It's a monster taming rhythm game, which is really cool. And it also has, I think, especially number 2, you can actually have Jibanyan from Yokai Watch on your team, which is really fun. Was not... Because I was like, oh, quick, because it was on offer. I think I got it for like £4. And had a blast with it. Again, it's very cutesy. It's like rhythm games and stuff. Is there any more? Now, so There's Monster Sanctuary that I have not played yet. Well, I've played like half an hour of it, but Metroidvanias are a bit overwhelming for me, so I might have to go back to that. But I think what I really like about, especially, I forgot to include this one, World of Final Fantasy. It's on PS Vita. I've got it on PS Vita, but I've also got it on PS4, but it's also on Switch as well. Apparently, I know this is more like a celebration of the Final Fantasy franchise. There's a lot of Easter eggs and stuff in it, but as someone that's not really completed many Final Fantasy games, it's still an enjoyable experience. Chibi art style, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I quite like the chibi art style. I always just find it very cutesy. And I think just because mental illness and stuff, I just need more cutesy stuff in my life and more light-hearted stuff. But yeah, what I like about this, and particularly, where did it go? Oh, it's right in front of me. Dragon Quest, like, because the big thing with JRPGs and RPGs in general, right, is the monsters you battle. And I like that franchises do like monster taming spin-offs, because I think like these are like my first like proper playthroughs of the series, and that's helping me get into the series just because of the monster designs and being able to use the monsters. And so I think a lot more franchises should do monster taming games, like monster taming spin-offs. Like, I'd love an Atelier one, because Atelier's so chill anyway, but just to have a monster taming Atelier game would be just like such a good game to play. But yeah, just love monster taming games. I think I like that collection aspect, even though I never completely 100% it usually. I did with Arceus, because I think that was quite easy to do for me, and because it was a different style of Pokemon game, it was more fun to do. And yeah, but I like that collection aspect. I think this is the other thing with Pokemon, right, because like so familiar with all the generations, and I miss that excitement of, I think especially because, you know, in the age of social media now, like it's kind of like, leaks happen, or like monsters get revealed and stuff. Like, what I like about playing these ones, or like things like Nexamon, is like wondering what monsters you're going to come across. Like, what does this evolve into? How do you evolve it? What level does it evolve? Whereas, unless it's a new generation of Pokemon, or like Arceus, where they've put a couple of new ones in, you kind of know what you're getting. And I think that does get a bit stale after a while. So it's nice to go to franchises, like different franchises and different monster taming games, to have that element of surprise and excitement to be like, what's this going to evolve into? And I think that's also why I like Yokai Watch, because there's tons. I think 3 has over 600 in one game. And again, like, despite hundreds of hours in, I'm still coming across new ones that I hadn't seen before. And it gives you that incentive to play more. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this little ramble video on monster taming games, just because I love them so much. Yeah.